Good Morning Night Vale is brought to you by The Disappearances of Lydia Fontaine, a new independently produced and crowdfunded 10-episode original audio drama. Set in a deceptively familiar world of electronic surveillance and machine-mediated communication, The Disappearances of Lydia Fontaine follows Lydia Ryan and her friends, lovelorn Ethan and wannabe internet sensation Dee, as they struggle to unravel the mystery of her mother's disappearance. Escape the sinister Fontaine family, and survive the feud over her grandfather's supernatural legacy. It weaves bitter family drama and high-stakes intrigue with fantasy and cyberpunk elements to create a surreal mystery about secrets and grudges, old books, big data, and the promise of infinite knowledge. And do not forget the talking birds. It's a full-cast production with original music and a bespoke soundscape presented through a series of found-footage-style surveillance recordings. And it's important to note, this show was made entirely without generative AI. Even the computers are voiced by human actors. Episodes are free, and you can start listening right now with the Season 1 finale due to come out on August 16th. For more information, go to lydiadisappears.com. and find The Disappearances of Lydia Fontaine wherever you get your podcasts and start listening from the beginning.
Insurance isn't one size fits all, and shopping for it shouldn't feel like squeezing into something that just doesn't fit. That's why drivers have enjoyed Progressive's Name Your Price tool for years. With the Name Your Price tool, you tell them what you want to pay, and they show you options that fit your budget. Enough hunting for discounts, trying to calculate rates, and tinkering with coverages. Maybe you're picking out your very first policy, or maybe you're just looking for something that works better for you and your family. Either way, they make it simple to see your options. No guesswork, no surprises. Ready to see how easy and fun shopping for car insurance can be? Visit Progressive.com and give the Name Your Price tool a try. Take the stress out of shopping and find coverage that fits your life, on your terms. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Price and coverage match limited by state law.
Spring reveals nature's secret.
That death is reversible.
Good morning, Night Vale! It's me, Hal.
It's me, Meg.
And it's me, Symphony. And we're here to talk to you about Night Vale because we do that and we love it and we love you. Today is, well, in our world, Friday the 13th. Spooky. At 2:40 p.m. Central Time. But who knows when or where it is in your time.
Well, hopefully we bring the Friday the 13th vibes to you. I love Friday the 13th. I love when it happens. It always makes it feel special. I used to love when we would do a show on Friday the 13th. Oh, yeah. I remember there was one show, I'm trying to remember which one it was. We did a show on Friday the 13th and we sold 666 tickets. And I was like, hell yes. Ooh, so,
Mark of the Beast.
Mm-hmm.
Hail
so,
Satan.
Yeah, I love it. I love Friday the 13th. I think it's just like a little mini Halloween just scattered throughout the year.
Exactly. Yeah. It's like, it's Halloween prep.
Yeah.
It's Halloween prep.
Yeah.
All right. So this is episode 167, Echo. And the description of that episode is the pilot has arrived and so have his passengers.
Uh-oh.
Ta-da!
Let's talk about it.
Let's talk about it. We were at the end of our 5-parter.
Y'all.
And boy, are we. Are we.
So intense.
Things are intense. Things feel dire. There's only a few folks left who have not been usurped or turned into friggin' passengers like type people. Cecil is hiding, and he's the only way to keep that guy out of his brain is for him to talk to Carlos. And that warms the heart, of course. But, of course, we're always so scared for our town, like that they're going to be taken over and all hope is lost. But turns out it's not, but it took all the episode, like pretty much to the end.
Yeah, it was an intense episode. It was. There was a lot of back and forth. There was a lot of the tension was rising.
Mm-hmm.
There was we get our mother-daughter scene where the mother approaches and is like, "Hey, it's going to be okay," and then she crumples the note and like forgets about it, and we're like, "Oh no, that was our last best hope."
Yeah.
But then it happens again, and she opens the note and she reads it, and then she knows what she has to do, which is murder. And it's such a badass scene. You just like think of
with
like
the scythe.
Yeah, just like it's very cinematic listening to that. I was like, I can see the blood spurting across like the camera lens.
Yeah. I was really nervous, especially because Cecil had been looking for her for the entire time. And then when he found her, she had been compromised and all this stuff. And like, even her mom didn't get through to her. But then, of course, she crumpled it up, but she didn't throw it away. I don't think because she had it in her hand. But I don't know. I was really scared because the pilot is very powerful and has gotten into a lot of people. He even got into Cecil's head. But I was really nervous. But thankfully, Amelia came through in the end. Where'd she get the scythe? Oh,
she was holding the scythe to murder the rest of the Night Vale citizens.
Right. Oh, right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wait, so did she murder her mom? She did, right?
No.
Oh,
no.
She didn't.
She didn't murder anyone yet. It was like about to be the time of murder.
Aha. They were just collecting them and trying to get everybody in there or whatever.
Yeah, they were judging them and seeing who
they were seeing
how
many they could get to turn. And it was like the last chance to turn. And then if you didn't turn by that point, you were getting the old scythe. But right before the scythe moment was about to happen.
But really, do you think you're beautiful like nature? I think you guys are beautiful like nature.
Thank you. I think you're beautiful like nature.
I think you're beautiful. I think you're both beautiful like nature. Very much, yes.
But not in a like zombie sort of way. But like,
well, zombies are entitled to their opinions. Zombies can say beautiful. You don't know where the beautiful thing that's going to be said is coming from. Could come from a zombie. Could come from the greatest person who ever lived. I don't know who that is. They might not have been born yet. But
okay.
Yeah. It's a nice statement. There is a concept from this episode that is sort of stuck in my head, which is that idea of having a bunch of voices in your head and then the people who those voices are from talking to you in person as well. So it's this weird stereo of outside, inside your brain that is deeply troubling to me. Just the concept of it is really disturbing.
It's an echo. You know what it's like? It's like when you're on an airplane and you're listening to or watching a movie on your headphones on the airplane. And then the pilot comes over the PA, but the PA is like in the plane, but it's also in your headphones. And so you got, so that's what it's like.
Oh, yeah. You know what? I never think about that because I am always listening to my own AirPod situation and I'm not plugged into the
You're not plugged into the screen. You're not watching Crazy Rich Asians just over and over again.
No, I'm Crazy Rich Asians is a really good movie.
It's so good.
It's a good airplane movie.
I very much enjoy it because it's like funny. It's like a little romantic comedy situation, and it's not too heavy.
Yeah,
like I've definitely watched movies where I've like fully cried on the airplane, and I'm like, I can't do that because it's already drying on there. I can't be like relinquishing my precious juices.
When you're at altitude, you're more susceptible. Like at that altitude, you're more likely to cry. Like there's something to that. You know what's bad to watch on an airplane? Inglourious Bastards or Django Unchained, because you're like, I don't know who's watching this, and certainly I have to have my earbuds in because, like, you don't want a bunch of Nazis on the screen while you're watching because you don't know if they're like, is this person pro or anti? Like, I'm not quite sure. I don't know. My neighbor's watching, but I see the flashing light, and I peer at it from the side.
Well, I guess you would know if, like, when they're like killing the Nazis, if people are like,
yeah, if they're on your side.
Yeah,
it's bad if they're doing that during the opening scene of Inglourious Bastards. You don't want that.
No.
Like, oh, he caught him. You don't want that. You don't want to hear that during the beginning of that movie. If you know, you know.
Yeah.
I just want to bring that up. But I do like watching other people's movies, even if I'm watching something. If I can see it across the aisle.
Oh, yeah. I'm nosy.
If it's a movie I like, I'm like, oh, yeah, I know that line. That's a really good moment. I really like that. I'm excited they're watching this.
Honestly, I'm going to tell you the truth. I'm looking at everybody's stuff. Like, if you're next to me, I'm like, I could look like I'm on my phone. I could be texting, but am I looking at your text? Absolutely. I've seen some crazy stuff. Like, people talking about hookups, people talking about cheating, people talking, it's usually like work stuff because I fly American and it's a business airline.
Yeah.
But like a couple times I've been like, oh, okay. I'm here for the chisme, here for the gossip.
Yep.
Oh, yeah. I am always looking at I'll always look at, if someone's reading a book, I'm looking to see what book they're reading. If someone is texting and I can see it, I am always looking. If someone's got their laptop open and they're working on something, I am curious about their spreadsheet. And I'm like, what is it that they're doing? What is it that I try to figure out? I am completely just unbridled in an airport situation or even just any situation where I can
subway,
peek into other people's lives. I am like the ultimate eavesdropper. Like I'm so fascinated by people and how they do and what they be that I'm just like, I can't help myself. Joseph once sat next to Gavin Newsom, who is the governor of California, on an airplane, and he looked over his shoulder and he was like working on a budget like the whole time.
Aw, that's good.
Nice.
Yeah, I guess like be at work, right? Also, they were not in first class. They were just like in the regular old airplane. So
that's amazing.
A man of the people.
A man of the people.
I once flew next to somebody who was, I think it was on their computer, was looking at the marketing plan, like a 10-year marketing plan for the Jurassic World franchise. But it was all like, here's the movie coming, here's the movie, here are all of the merchandise, because that was his job. He was in film merchandising and marketing. So it was just all, I was like, oh, they're making more? So now when I see when they roll out
Chris Pratt figurines.
Well, when there are new movies coming out, I'm like, oh, was this in the plan? I don't remember. Are we outside the plan? How long ago was that? Has the plan been extended? Those movies will never go away. If you love them, I'm happy for you. If you're shocked that they're still being made, I don't know what to tell you. It was part of the plan all along.
Some guy 10 years ago that you saw his laptop. You're like, oh, guys, till 2036, they've got it planned out.
Yeah, it's still, oh man. You just wait until a whole Tyrannosaurus Rex becomes the president. That's on there. But in real life, and I don't know when. I couldn't remember. I'm like, well, not this one. But maybe 2028. We don't know what the field's going to look like.
Honestly, I would not be surprised.
If a dinosaur ran third party.
You know what? Let's hear their policies and then make a decision. Honestly.
Yeah.
Because anything is possible.
I'm going to say I don't really know them or what their policies are. They're going to tell us about themselves and what their policies are. Then I'm going to go, but I don't really know them and what their policies are. I'd rather vote for this active dumpster fire that is trying to give me a terrible case of rubella.
Yeah.
And they've got tiny arms. How can you be president with tiny arms?
Oh, the handshaking is just a nightmare.
Wait, did you see the one, the yanking one at the 9/11 thing? I was like, oh. But she stood her ground. I was like, yeah, you show him, girl.
And then Chuck Schumer whispered something to her, which
yeah,
was definitely like.
I was like, yeah. He's like, oh, he tried to yank you, huh? She was like, this motherfucker.
Anyway, so yeah, just like everyone has their own little thing that they do on airplanes that we're all peeking at. Everyone in Night Vale has their own little thing that they do to try to avoid being taken over by the pilot. Mm-hmm. Like Cecil has his Carlos, Tamika has her audiobook.
Yep.
I love when we get details like that. Like when we're in sort of a story that's not necessarily about like a Night Vale character that we've known forever, but we still get like the little pieces of like, well, where's Tamika in all of this? You know, like where's Steve in all of this? Where like we get the little sort of
tidbits. It just makes the world feel more rounded out too, and like knowing that they're not just like in some like limbo somewhere, or because obviously they haven't been taken over yet or whatever.
Doesn't this predate the Sophie Bush, the Stranger Things, that the one character it to not be taken by the Demigorgon would listen to
the running
Sophie,
up the hill.
The running up the hill. It is Sophie Bush,
Kate
right?
Bush.
Did I have that name?
Kate Bush.
Kate Bush. I don't know why I thought Sophie
I was like,
Bush. Is that a person?
Sophie Bush?
Probably is. Kate Bush.
Sophia Bush?
Sophia Bush? That's someone else, right? George Bush? Remember George Bush's song "Running Up That Hill"? She would listen to Kate Bush. Thank you, Kate Bush, and that would keep her from being taken. I feel like this is before that. I think that was like 2021, 22.
Yeah. They got the idea from no.
You know what?
This is where they got the idea. You know what?
Lawsuit.
Praise, because honestly, I'm glad that Kate Bush song made another round in the zeitgeist. I like that song.
I like that song too. I think about it when I'm running up hills.
So you tell yourself, that's how you know what you're doing. I'm running up that hill.
I'm running up that hill. It helps.
Yeah. Yeah, and do the falsetto. It helps with breath control.
Yeah, for sure.
Up next, our conversation with Jeffrey Cranor. But first, a conversation about this episode's weather, The Stolen Century by Ellen Beiser.
I liked this song, and I thought it was appropriate for this episode because it was almost like underscoring because there wasn't lyrics. Mm-hmm. But it's always interesting when there's an instrumental song because you're like, oh, because usually it's like sometimes it's a break, sometimes it goes with it, but this one I felt like honestly it helped. I was picturing all the people like scuttling up the outside of the friggin' radio, not tower, the radio
station.
Thank you. I was at radio box, radio office.
Yeah, radio box.
That can't be right.
I was scuttling up around there and like busting stuff up. So I was imagining that sort of hubbub happening. It just gave me vibes of like cinematic underscoring. What kind of music does Ellen normally make?
I'm fascinated by Ellen. I went to Ellen's website, and Ellen is a person not unlike myself. She has many jobs in the creative industry.
Okay.
She's a composer. Ooh. She is a writer. She writes films. She is a director of theater and film. She is a lighting designer. She is a stage manager.
Whoa.
She is a performer. So she has a number of hats that she wears in the creative industry. She's also one of my favorite credits. I looked at her resume because it's on her website, is that she works at the parade in Disneyland as like the support lead.
Hey,
that's cool.
Yeah. I thought that was really cool. So
I wonder if she knows Mark Gagliardi.
She might. He
was the mayor of Main Street for a while.
Yeah, she has worked there since 2018. So
then maybe not.
Who knows? Anyway, I thought that she had a really cool background as far as like a broad career in the arts. And then I thank her for sharing her talents with our show. One of her many talents.
I love when someone is a multi-talented artist. That's awesome.
Was she a submission?
I don't know. Probably.
Okay.
Probably. Yeah, I feel like we're mostly all submissions at this point. Unless it's like sometimes if it's like we get a repeat, like if we have Erin or Mal or Danny, like someone who's like a long time Night Vale weather, they'll be like, oh, I have a new album coming out, or like we'll approach them and be like, oh, you have a new album coming out, let's grab a song for the weather. But I feel like that's mostly at this point you're either a submission or you're a friend of the Vale.
Word. Friend of the Vale. Ooh, I kind of like that as a t-shirt. Friend of the Vale.
Friend of the Vale.
Friends of the Vale gather. Hear my call.
Stay right there. Good Morning Night Vale will return after a brief break.
Lately, I've been all over the place. Between touring, dog sitting, and traveling, my routine has become non-existent. Now that my travel schedule has slowed down, I need to get back to eating real food and not just grabbing what I can when I can. And Factor is making that easier for me. Factor meals are ready in 2 minutes and require little to no prep and no cleanup. So even on the days when my schedule is completely out of whack, eating well is still achievable. Like today, I had 3 meetings and a client. By the time I was done, I was hungry and I just needed to eat. So I grabbed the Beurre Blanc filet mignon with Parmesan risotto, and it was delicious. I was amazed at how tender it was and how flavorful the risotto was, and saved me from having to pick something up quick. And in 2 minutes, I had something healthy, fresh, and delicious. So if you like fast, easy, and delicious meals, I think you would like Factor Meals too. Let's eat real. Head to factormeals.com/GMNV50OFF and use code GMNV50 off to get 50% off and 1 free breakfast item per box for 1 year, while supplies last until 10/31/2026. That's code GMNV50OFF at factormeals.com. GMNV50 off at factormeals.com. See website for more details.
We are now joined by the writer of these very episodes we've been discussing, Jeffrey Cranor. Jeffrey Cranor, welcome to our show. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me on. How exciting.
Yeah.
How exciting. We've just been in your world for the past 5 episodes, and we just want to hear more about what the process was like for this, how you decided you wanted to do a big 5-parter, and just talk to us about what you do.
Yeah, we've been getting deep in that dome.
I think we had been touching on this missing flight for a short bit before we got to these 5. And so I just remember telling Joseph as we were kind of, slotting out which episodes we would captain, which ones we would write. And just thought I just started with the Alpha, Bravo, Charlie, Delta, Echo. I thought, well, let's just do a 5-parter. I think 5 would be good. And it seemed like a good idea at the time to say, let's take charge of like 5 straight episodes. I know there's a Faceless Old Woman live in there, but that had been written for a bit, and it was just a recording of the live show that we did in LA with Mara. So yeah, it was a lot, man. It was a lot, because it's one thing to tie up 2,500 words in a nice little 25-minute episode, and it's another thing to tie up 12,500 words in a 5-episode arc and try and get that going. Also, I started this pre-pandemic and finished it at the start of the pandemic. So there was a lot of just me staring at nothing, being like, well, I guess I should write this thing. And then like an hour later being like, I guess I'll write this thing.
Okay. So,
and then I'd get up and go for a walk. Yeah.
So this was inspired by you staring into the abyss.
It was a little bit like there's a lot of this stuff was like just... I re-listened to these this week when you emailed me, Meg, and I was like, wow, I was going through some stuff, man. I was thinking a lot about my family. Right. I was thinking a lot about thinking a lot about my family at that time too. Yeah, so I was kind of at I think like all of us in like March of 2020, we were like, Lowell, I've got nothing to do but process. So it's a really interesting like time capsule to listen back to some of this.
Do you feel like as a result of that, this is maybe some of the most personal stuff that you've put out within Night Vale?
I think in particular, the stuff in episode 1 or the episode Alpha and episode Echo with Amelia's mother. Mm-hmm. Like this was a thing that I was going through in my own life of dealing with my family and dealing with how my family relates to me. Mm-hmm. And I've talked a little bit about this before on, like Random Horror, where I get to chat rather than write words for Cecil. But this was kind of the most direct, like, here, I'm just going to put some stuff I've actually like said to my therapist or my own family before of like how you how you relate to your child and how your child wants to be related to in terms of like their achievements, what they do with their lives. And I think it's a pretty familiar thing for a lot of people it's not a matter of like not being proud of your child. It's a matter of like taking the pride you have in yourself for making that child and wanting your child to live up to that, as opposed to just saying like, you went your own way and you made your thing and that's really cool. And so, so dealing with that and sort of the way Echo wraps up is definitely some form of like fantasy forgiveness for the mother that I have for like truly understanding her daughter at that moment.
Right.
Yeah, I love the way that this wrapped up, and it was like a real heartstring tugger when you finally read when you got the alphanumeric code and like figured out how to do that. Did you find there was like do you find that there's like solace in sort of like writing that sort of ending for yourself? Like, did you feel any sort of release from that?
I think so, because there's something about finding a different way to explain a thing that you like. I think there's two things. One, it's when you try to articulate something you want or need and you can't articulate it, sometimes metaphor, poetry, whatever can help you do that. And two, yeah, I think sometimes you've said a thing over and over very articulately, but it doesn't really feel like it goes anywhere. And that's another way like metaphor is helpful. So for her mother to do what she did at the end of Echo, by understanding why her daughter disappeared into puzzles as a child, what that helped her with, and why, like recognizing this was important to me and you never let me do it. Mm-hmm. And I think that was just a different way of expressing a thing I had said a million times before in my life. And it feels good to kind of find a new way of saying something. Yeah.
You write these really, really intense and lovely mom and kid stuff, because you also wrote In the Blood Space War, if I'm remembering, that was you who wrote with the astronaut, I'm trying to remember this character's name, but the character who ages and is like really, really old and comes back, and then like her mom recognizes her and they like have this moment, and that was also you too.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
I just wrote down like moms and kids. Jeffrey really writes moms, you know? You really get it.
Moms and kids. I was raised by a single mom. So, yeah, I have a lot of love for my mom and a lot of frustration with my mom. And, you know, I think that's very normal family stuff. I just...
Oh, for sure.
Just cope with it through different mediums or different ways. And writing has been really helpful as a way to deal with that.
These episodes are very tight and clean with the way that they are structured and wrap up and tie in the name of the episode. And it's like its own little puzzle. And I'm wondering if you could speak to a little bit more of your process in working within sort of the puzzles of these episodes.
Well, yeah, like I said, I started only with the NATO alphabet, the pilot's alphabet there. So I thought, well, my trick will be that's got to tie into the episode somehow. So it's a fun challenge assignment for me. I also, like Amelia, I love puzzles so much, and I also love like memorization games. So like, I remember I haven't practiced it much, but for a while I had the NATO alphabet memorized, and it was just a fun thing to know. And so so it started somewhat from like a little bit of a puzzle sort of thing of like, you know, thinking about this new alphabet. But yeah, it just gives me a fun jumping off point when I start with an assignment for myself. Like your task, your puzzle to solve is, why is this named Charlie? I mean, I guess we have a character named Charles, so that gets us that. But Bravo was sort of fun to play with, of sending them to the theater and all of that. Mm-hmm. And also, I wanted to say, because I was listening to Good Morning Night Vale the last 4 episodes too, and you guys do such a great job of like understanding why anything is there, because I think we all know each other so well. But I wanted to point out to y'all theater kids in the room that Bravo, the play that they do in Night Vale, is based upon the Peter Brook adaptation of the play The Persecution and Assassination of Jean-Paul Marat, as performed by the inmates in the asylum of Sheridan under the direction of the Marquis de Sade, also known as Marat/Sade, which was like a really famous like expressionistic play that I just remember in theater history. Like we covered the shit out of that. We watched the Glenda Jackson movie that Peter Brook directed. It's so incredible. I think you can watch the movie on like Prime or something. I've watched it a couple times, but I watched it while writing this, and it's the greatest play name of all time. And it is exactly what is kind of happening in this too, where the inmates put on a play and the warden thinks that they're all on his kind of side about things. And the whole time you got the Marquis de Sade being like, we might have improvised some of this. And then they run fully off script.
Yeah, I fully missed that.
It's totally fine. I think I'm the only one who, and maybe Cecil, I think we're the only 2 people that were like, yeah, Marat Sade.
Yeah. I feel it, yeah.
For all Marat Sade heads out there, were rolling in it.
It was a little bit easier making the Hamilton joke, I think.
Well, now we know.
It's a little bit more approachable.
I think I might have blacked out all of theater history.
It's a good call. It's a lot of bad theater. Yeah.
willfully forgot it. Yeah. I'm curious, Jeffrey, like your relationship with puzzles just sort of throughout your life, because you approach this is a puzzle. Puzzles are a theme here. You personally, like, were puzzles your puzzles?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, everyone in my family does crossword puzzles. So my grandmother would do crosswords. So I would do crosswords as well. And, when I came to visit my grandparents, like every spring break, my mom would send me off to my grandparents in Oklahoma City. And my grandmother that whole week would buy a second newspaper so that I could do the puzzle too. Aww. And which was so nice. Yeah, I just loved crosswords. And then people would get me the New York collection of New York Times crossword books. They would get me crossword books, but I found very quickly that I really liked the New York Times one the best. It just was kind of like the cleanest, most straightforward, most challenging. And yeah, I've done them all. I finally busted my longest streak on the app. A couple months ago. Oh, wow. I'm nearing 700 straight puzzles.
Holy crap.
Wow.
Which is very exciting. But yeah, I love them. I love them so much. And I had a subscription to Games Magazine as a kid that back when Will Shortz edited that. And yeah, I loved every single like little word game, math game, things like that.
From us touring together, that is something that I've noticed about you, because you're always doing like a Wordle. You'll talk about the New York Times stuff. When we were on planes, there's a little game that you would play. And I was like, what the heck is that? It looked like just a bunch of numbers and dots and stuff. And I don't know what the heck you were doing, but I was like, he's decoding the friggin' like some sort of crazy crypt thing. I don't know what's happening. But that's awesome. That's awesome. I am not.
It's really fun.
I've never been a puzzle person, but I find them fascinating. And I tried to get into crosswords, but sometimes the clues or the whatever they're called, I'm like, that doesn't make any sense to me. But do you have to figure out the whole thing? Like, it's a theme, right?
Sometimes. Okay. Fridays and Saturdays in the New York Times are themeless, but most of the other days of the week, they almost always have a theme. So like Wednesdays and Thursdays are usually like the trickiest, maybe Sundays too, that they put a lot of confusing clues in there where they're playing puns on whatever they're saying. Yeah, I don't have an immediate example, but yeah.
All we need to know is that Jeffrey has a big brain.
For puzzles, anyway.
He's a big
it's hard
puzzle
to figure
brain.
other things out sometimes.
But you really apply it to your writing with the projects you take on, as far as giving yourself assignments and parameters and creating your own puzzles to work with, and then solving them in really unexpected ways. I thought that the solves for these episodes were really unexpected, which is always interesting as a listener, especially as a listener who's listened to 167 episodes of the show. It's always great to be surprised and to learn something new about characters and the town and the whole setting situation. So
I get that from Joseph Fink because he cares about plot, and I think when we first met, I was never a very plot guy. And so when we have collaborated on things, like he's really good about focusing on like, well, how does this get to this? How does this relate to that? What is the decision made that causes the thing? And I've done so much, like you, Meg, I've done so much short form theater where it just has to be quite simply a sketch of something. It can have a beginning, middle, and end. It can have a conclusion. It can have a creative button that ties it all together. But ultimately, you just need to play with an idea. And I've always gravitated more towards incomplete collage-y type thoughts. So that's this 5-parter I was real nervous to listen back to because I wasn't sure. I couldn't remember if I tied it together well or not.
Oh, yeah.
You landed the plane, so to speak.
Oh, yay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Was there a point before you got into, because you said initially you're like, this feels like a 5-parter. Was there a moment before you started where you were like, maybe it's a 3-parter, maybe it's a 4 or 6 or a 2-parter? Was there ever any like negotiation within yourself about that?
Yeah, when I finished Alpha, I was like, oh, fuck. I already told Joseph I would do these 5 episodes because I liked how Alpha ended. I liked writing that episode. I like telling I like a bedtime story sort of narrative or a parable or fable type of narrative. Here's a person. Here's speaking about them simply. She was always the best at everything. And, that repetition of language is really fun. And so I set up this character I really liked. And then I got to the end of it thinking, well, I can't just bring her back and the next time I see her, I feel like she's got to be doing something big. And now I've got to string this out in a way that each episode isn't just waiting on her to return.
Right.
But they each have their own thing. So yeah, I hit a weird spot at the end of Alpha trying to think about how to get through the next few parts.
Well, and boy, did she come back in a big, big, big way. Yeah, because I was thinking about that too. As we were listening to these episodes, I was like, okay, where is she? Where is she? And that Cecil was in a constant quest to like wondering where she was, knowing that she was the final piece that was going to help fix that. And I was worried, honestly, that she had somehow she had perished looking for the group. But I mean, she came back and she was like under the trance of the pilot, and then we know how it ends anyway. But what I wanted to think about was, okay, the pilot didn't really talk outside of people's heads until this final episode. What was your thought behind like having him have this huge like telepathic or like mental power?
I tried to approach that with the idea that you can kind of just say something as long as you say it early enough in the process. I mean, I know the pilot gets introduced much later, but when we start introducing like how this group is a real fucking problem, I thought, well, let's just go ahead and establish that there is some kind of way in which the pilot is communicating. And since we've already had a person who's hearing the voices of the people on the plane, that we definitely exist in a world in which that type of phenomenon can happen. So I just sort of leap of faith said, well, let's just have the pilot do this. And it's tricky because I want it to have like a real in-world veracity. And so I did have, I think it's at the end of Delta where Cecil is saying what the pilot is telling him, which is a conceit we have to do on Night Vale all the time, where Cecil is narrating exactly what's happening. And he is like verbatim quoting the pilot at us. And I thought, well, anyone who's ever tried to speak while somebody is speaking in their ear is so hard to do.
Yeah.
And so I don't know. It was a little tricky. So it was a little bit of leap of faith. And I'm like, you know what? This is the easiest way to explain what's happening. So I'll just have Cecil say it. And I love pilot voice. It's the best.
Yeah.
I love that what you just brought up, the idea of like the internal veracity of Night Vale, because I think to an observer it might seem well, pretty much anything is possible here because anything happens. How stringent are you and Joseph with that? And how much do you like? Are there ever negotiations of like, I'm going to do this, it feels a little out of bounds? What does that open up for us?
A lot of times we'll just let it happen, right? Like it's just, if something new happens, we're like, well, now we have to deal with that. I think when we first met to talk about even starting the show, after Joseph wrote the pilot and we started writing some more of the episodes, Joseph said, I feel like we can do anything we want as long as we have strict continuity. And it took me a little while to sort of understand what he meant by continuity, but it really is just whatever happens stays as part of the history of something. And so while Night Vale is a place where people could have, say, telekinetic powers, I can't just now introduce the fact that, like, Tamika Flynn is now telekinetic.
Right.
Like, I couldn't, I would really need to, there would have to be something that happens in her life for us to set that up, because we've been around her for like 11 years now
and that's
on this
never
show,
been a thing, right?
And we've never heard about it. So she would have to get bit by a telekinetic spider or whatever. However, I don't know how you get those powers, but
I think that's it.
Pretty sure. Pretty sure that's it. I wish. That'd be sweet.
There's somebody walking around with a lot of spider bites. Like, nope, not that one. Deeper into the sewers I go.
So we are now at the end of this 5-episode arc. Coming down the pipe, Jeffrey, of the episodes that we have yet to get to, are there ones that you have a particular fondness for that are upcoming, or are there ones that
Have y'all gotten to go to the mirror yet?
We're close. We're very close.
Okay, I couldn't remember what order that they all happen in.
I think go to the mirror is 171. So we're in the neighborhood. Yeah.
Okay. Almost there.
Oh, we're knocking on the door, yeah.
That one was like double fun to do because it's got a really strict rule I had to follow in writing it. And it's also a horror, like it's just strictly a horror episode that falls in line with things like Cassettes or Faceless Old Woman or whatever.
I understand. Like, you guys, your writing process is like so interesting to me. But like, are you ever like, you know what? Let's challenge ourselves and let's do something wacky.
I think throughout we try and like, we don't try that, like go full wacky every episode.
Right.
But I always think that approaching writing from like having a restriction or having a rule is so helpful because it gives you something to do. Mm-hmm. So like if you have like blank page, it's a little tough to know just where to start from. So if you have a rule, you at least have something to start from. I mean, it starts giving your characters something to do or talk about. But like, I think, Joseph wrote an episode called All Right, which had sound shift to just the right earphone, and then other things are happening, and then other things are happening in the left earbud. Yeah, it's one of those sorts of things. So playing around with that type of device is fun. We also had, I think it's called Are You Sure? Is the episode wherein we decided to try and use the dynamic ad insertion technology to insert our own ads, but those ads were the post-weather segments. So there were like 3 different versions of the episode that went out to people, depending on when you downloaded it, depending on which file you got. So, so doing something like that was, those sorts of things are kind of fun to play with those tools and whatever else. And then every now and then we'll do, we just had a very recent episode this year that Meg, you and Symphony were in, the paid programming episode. That was one wherein I realized we don't have a ton of dialogue pieces. And that one, definitely there's stretches where like, especially the character of Deb is talking for longer stretches. But to have like a real back and forth, like to see a page wherein you'd have like one sentence per person alternating is a rarity in Night Vale. And a lot of times, because when a guest is on, they're on with Cecil. Mm-hmm. And so Cecil's character is so fully a monologuist, even if he has a guest on. And his long-windedness is part of who he is. So it was nice to have 2 characters that could have a real conversation.
It was a great conversation to have, yeah.
And we passed the Bechdel test, finally.
Yeah!
It took 252 episodes, but we passed the Bechdel test.
I mean, Symphony and I had a whole fight scene, but it was silent, so...
Yeah.
Yeah.
What you didn't know, listener. But all our fighting was hugs.
Mm-hmm. Except for when you threw that book at me.
Hug fight.
That's true. But isn't that also somewhat of a hug?
Yeah. Forced literacy.
Hug.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Jeffrey, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you so much for writing these episodes. Thank you so much for writing all of the episodes you write.
Thanks.
Is there anything that you'd like to tell the Good Morning Night Vale listeners before we send you back off out into the world?
Hey, good job. And I'm proud of all of you.
Thank you also very much for listening today. Thank you for being you. Thank you for being on this 5-parter journey with us. The next episode is Secret Blotter. But until then, good morning, Night Vale. Good morning.
Good Morning Night Vale is a Night Vale Presents production. It is hosted by Symphony Sanders, Meg Bashwiner, and Hal Lublin. It is edited by Felicia Dominguez and mixed by Vincent Cacchione. It is produced by Meg Bashwiner. Theme music by Disparition. Email us at info@goodmorningnightVale.com to share your theories and ask questions, or to tell us if you are proud of us no matter what. This show is powered by our patrons like Lindsay Schneider, Logan, Lydia Bashwiner, Matthew, with 2 T's, and the first T is silent, and Molly Gaines. If you are interested in supporting this show in exchange for lots of fun, exclusive, insider, hyper-cool kid content, check us out at patreon.com/goodmorningnightVale. For more information on this show, go to goodmorningnightVale.com. Special thanks to our guests this week, Jeffrey Cranor. We'd also like to thank Joella Knapp and Joseph Fink. Calzone ingredient of the week is a story in 5 parts.